On today's episode of Chicago Bears Now, we got the latest injury news as the Bears practice for the final time before the bye week on Tuesday afternoon. We also heard from Caleb Williams about his bye week plans and why he feels so comfortable in clutch situations. So we'll dive into that as well, plus a few workouts that took place on Tuesday. So stay tuned, plenty to dive into. And I just want to give you guys a round of applause from myself and producer Cullen Brown. The data is in, and this is our biggest month ever in all regards. So your support has been incredible. The Bears have momentum. We have momentum as a channel, as viewership, and you guys bringing the support and love. And we do just want to remind you guys as often as possible, you guys make this thing go. Obviously, we put the hard work in for the content, but if you guys didn't show up, show love, disagree at times, that's perfectly acceptable as well. It would be impossible. So thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts. Let's keep this thing rolling and continue to grow this channel. All right. Last practice before the bye was in the books. Initially, it was going to be on Wednesday, but they moved it to Tuesday. They are going to do a lifting session on Wednesday, but per CBA rules on your bye week, Thursday through Sunday, players are required to be out of the building. So they won't be back until Monday. Now, guys could be around. I think you actually can go like work out and stuff, but there can't be any organized practice with the coaches or anything like that after Wednesday. Anything? Theory? Are they going to be at the Cubs game today? We'll see as the Cubs look to close that thing out. But let's talk about the latest injury news. Now, there's no injury report, right? They don't have to put one out during the week, but there's obviously tidbits to take away. Who was at practice, who wasn't. 3 players were seen at practice that did not play this past weekend. Tight end Colston Loveland, who had that hip injury, but it was well reported that it wasn't viewed as serious. He should be good to go after the bye week. But then obviously Kyler Gordon and TJ Edwards as well, 2 guys that have hardly played this year with hamstring injuries. We briefly saw TJ against Detroit before he retweaked it, and we haven't seen Kyler at all this year as he got hurt right before the season opener. TJ Edwards did talk to the media after practice today. He said, quote, "I feel really good, moving around well." He also added that when you're out of it, you really, really miss it. So he seems motivated to play. Kyler Gordon actually talked as well. He said if there was a game this week, he'd be playing. But obviously with the bye week, that's even helpful to get him another week of kind of rehab and just prep to get ready for his first game. So Kyler's for sure back. Sounds like TJ is as well. And let's face it, those 2 guys returning will be big, especially Kyler, because he's a Swiss Army knife. You could drop him into coverage. You can blitz him. He can play and run support. And look, Nick McLeod he's battled in coverage. He does not like to tackle. So I think teams have tried to run at him, and he is not a very willing tackler. Kyler Gordon is, so that should help in run support and could give your pass rush a boost as well if you bring him on some blitzes. So excited to have him back, and TJ Edwards should also fill the lanes better. Tremaine Edmonds is very hit and miss as a run-stopping linebacker. I thought he really struggled against the Raiders after having a good game against Dallas. He racked up 11 tackles, but he was out of position a lot. So TJ, a better instinctive player, should help in that regard, and Tremaine can, go back to hopefully being, more of that coverage sideline-to-sideline guy. Not at practice on Tuesday, Darnell Wright, who obviously we've talked about quite a bit as well. Could he switch to left tackle? Obviously, we got that report on Tuesday about everything. We'll talk about that in a second. Jonah Jackson, not really sure if that's just like a vet day thing or if something's going on there. So we'll keep an eye on that when players return early next week. And then Grady Jarrett, who's been dealing with that knee injury. None of those guys were seen out there. So unclear what their statuses is. Obviously, Darnell Wright, there's been a lot of discussion this week since the Raiders game about the offensive tackle situation. We've broken it all down here on the channel. And, the idea of, well, do you explore Darnell Wright at left tackle during the bye week? Well, you can't really do that if he's not healthy, right? Like if the elbow's a problem, then you can't get him those reps. And if you can't get him those reps, you can't just put him out there once he is ready. So I think for now, he's probably staying at right tackle. The question is when does he come back? Like, is he even going to be ready after the bye? Who knows? The report we broke down on Tuesday, of course, from Brad Biggs was that the likely scenario is that the Bears are going to bench Braxton Jones and roll with Theo Benedict at left tackle. And Biggs did call it a, quote, fluid situation, but, was part of that fluid situation, well, what is Darnell's status? If he's healthy enough, do we try him over there? But he wasn't at practice today, so you couldn't get him reps over there today. You're not practicing again until probably Monday. So, I think I would expect Theo out there. And, again, that shifts the discussion of what is Darnell's injury timetable? Now, they didn't put him on short-term IR before the Raiders game when they ruled him out by Friday. So you would think with the bye week coming up and the fact that short-term IR would require you to miss 4 games that he probably wouldn't miss more than another week or two. But we'll have to wait and see. And then obviously the discussion becomes, okay, when he's back, is he for sure the right tackle? Or does Ozzie Trapillo compete with him? That's all going to be very fascinating to see how it plays out. Crystal ball time. When the bye week is over, who will be the Bears' 2 starting offensive tackles? Sounds like Theo's going to be on the left side. If Darnell's healthy, I got to think it's going to be him on the right side, but you guys make a prediction down in the comment section below. And by the way, quick note, we got a video going out this afternoon that I filmed on Monday, kind of just discussing some of the reinforcements the Bears could be getting back after the bye week. I did discuss Darnell a little bit with the left tackle conversation. Obviously, with this news, that's a little bit unlikely, but still plenty of good info in that video coming up later today. All right, shout out to our friends over at PrizePicks. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. I've hit like 4 out of my 5 lineups on PrizePicks. I'm up $400 or $500. And I'm loving playing with Bears players. They're obviously on a bye this week, so I'll have to cook something else up. I actually have this 2-player lineup that I'll flash on your screen right here. Very simple. 2 quarterbacks who have been red hot this season. Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones took the more on both their passing yards. Dak going up against the Jets, who are really struggling, and then Daniel Jones against the Raiders, who we just saw, other than Max Crosby, don't have a great defense. $20 entry to win $60 there. That's just an example of a PrizePicks lineup. At least 2 players on 2 or more different teams, and you pick more or less on their stat projections available. Passing yards, receiving, rushing, hits in baseball as the playoffs are going on, strikeouts, goals in soccer and hockey, all kinds of things available. You can cross over your sports in your lineups as well. Check it out. Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, the quarterback spoke to the media on Tuesday, again, with them flipping the practice to Tuesday instead of Wednesday. Wednesday is usually when he talks. He went ahead and talked on Tuesday. I want to hit on a couple of topics. A, what he's going to do during the bye week, and B, why he feels so comfortable in late-game situations. Here's Caleb on his bye week plans. He says, got to work on my body, make sure we're ready for this stretch run of 13 games that we have. That's the downside of an early bye. They have 13 straight weeks with games. I'll take 1 day off and let my mind rest a bit, but just because it's a bye week doesn't mean it's an off week. And I like that mindset. And look, you should take at least a day, even a day and a half during the bye week. Like, if you want to go fly and go watch USC play on Saturday, get back on Sunday, no problem with that. But don't forget, last year, the vibes were pretty high heading into the bye week. Even with the questions around Eberflus and Waldron, it's like they torched Carolina and Jacksonville. Even though we knew those teams sucked, it's like, okay, 3 wins in a row for the first time under Flus, 4-2. Got kind of a coin flip game with Washington coming out of the bye. Can they keep it rolling? They came out flat, and they lost that game. We know how that went on the Hail Mary. And then they lost 9 more, 10 straight games after the bye. So hopefully there's a little bit more focus and just intentionality to how they handle this bye week and to play even better coming out of the bye. Because let's face it, this has been far from perfect football from the Bears over the first month, which is why it's nice that they found a way to win the last 2 games here. But I think the Bears understand that the parallels to last year, Washington out of the bye week, feeling good going into the bye, wanting to make sure that carries over. Now, does that mean if they lose to Washington, the season's over? Of course not. But let's do our best here if you're the Bears to play your best football after the bye. And listen, I like the early bye this year. Ben Johnson said it throughout camp. Listen, we're going to take advantage of that early bye. We got the first month, we'll evaluate, and then we'll make the corrections and changes and hopefully hit the ground running after the bye week. So the fact that they've found some momentum heading into the bye is a good thing. But two, this team's been banged up, man. I mean, second half of training camp through the first month of the year, a lot of key injuries. I mean, I give this group credit for not folding after Detroit because – you had lost 12 out of 13 games dating back to last year. Key guys are out. You find a way to beat Dallas, and then you scrap one out in Vegas to get to 2-2, and you got plenty to play for. I mean, plenty. Everything is ahead of this team in terms of, realistic goals after the bye week. So getting some guys back will be good, and making some schematical changes, whatever is needed, will be important as well. Speaking of which, we will have a video sometime this week exploring some bye week changes. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you know when that video gets published, and all of our other content. I have filmed a lot of videos as I'm actually out of the office the next few days for my brother-in-law's wedding. Obviously, if something major happens, if I'm free, I will film remotely, or producer Colin and the boys in-house will have you guys covered. But still plenty of content this week, at least one video per day. A lot of days we'll still have 2 videos, so keep us locked in. Okay, Caleb Williams talking about, why he's comfortable in these, as he calls it, gotta have it moments. He says, quote, "The confidence I have in myself comes from the hard work I've put into my craft. I think it's grown over the years. I feel more comfortable in those moments. My heart rate drops and everything kind of settles in. And gotta have it moments, I think I've done a pretty good job in my career." And that's one thing. Did a video on this the other day. One thing that you cannot dispute about Caleb Williams, whether you're, an over-the-top lover of him and a believer of him, or if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum and you're a hater and nothing he could do will satisfy you as a player, one thing that is not disputed is in his career, he's typically played best in one-score games in the fourth quarter. I mean, how many times last year would he drive them down and either score to take a lead or something catastrophic would happen out of his hands and they would lose the game? Green Bay the first time around, field goal gets blocked. Second time around against Green Bay, they win the game. Minnesota, he forces overtime. Sure, he took a bad sack in OT and they lost, but he rallied them back from 2 scores down. Obviously, Washington, multiple late-game drives. Like, there was 4, 5, 6 examples of him doing it in his rookie season in a wild up-and-down roller coaster, but he was at his best often in those situations. You look at his career fourth-quarter stats, across the board, it's by far his best quarter. Now, I think technically he has a few more, maybe like 100, 150 more passing yards in the second quarter in his career from a volume standpoint, but it's his most accurate quarter. It's his most efficient quarter in terms of like touchdown to interception ratio. It's his best QB rating quarter. He has delivered in crunch time in a lot of these spots. They haven't always won because of various circumstances, coaching mistakes, not executing on special teams, fucking up a defensive Hail Mary stop, all kinds of things that we don't need to relive. But Caleb has risen to those occasions more often than not early on in his career. And that's why I was like, okay, he's got the clutch gene. If he can just tighten up some of the inconsistencies as we go here, there's still a ways to go, obviously. He's not a finished product. Then you got really something special here, because the NFL, what's the adage? It's a one-score league. Well, if you're in a one-score game and half your games in a season, you got to win more of those than you lose. And he's put you in position to win a lot of those, and we saw it again against the Raiders. So that's something you feel good about, and he's clearly comfortable in those spots. I mean, we've seen that. You hear him talk today. You trust that calmness. So, I mean, that's exciting to think about, because you're hoping moving forward you're in a lot of big games. And when you're in big games, you got to come up clutch in big spots. So hopefully he can do that throughout the course of his career. What is your confidence level in the quarterback right now? Scale of 1 to 10. I'm at like a 7, 5, 8. I feel pretty good. I mean, there's still a lot of room for improvement. There's still, anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 throws per game that just are a little bit off. But, if he's throwing 35 times per game and he misses 3 to 5 times, that's not an egregious number. I think he's cut down on some of those bad misses. So I'm excited about where he's at while also acknowledging there's still plenty of room for growth. All right, real quick, 5 players did work out for the Bears on Tuesday, not today, Wednesday, Tuesday. Philip Belidi, the defensive tackle out of Auburn, Jonathan Garvin, the linebacker out of Miami, Boston College guard Kyle Hergel, Jaden Peavy, another defensive tackle out of Texas A&M, then Isaiah Thomas, the linebacker out of Oklahoma. So 2 linebackers, 2 defensive tackles. So, take that for what it's worth, along with the guard as well. We'll see if any, practice squad additions or anything like that come out of this. All right, that's going to do it for Chicago Bears. Now, we will see you guys soon with another video, so be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And as always, bear down.